Thanks, Elise. Thanks to all of you for being here. There is an inescapable fact that all the American people know, everybody. It doesn't matter what political party you're in. Joe Biden and his administration have created a catastrophe on the border. Everybody knows it, and the American people are demanding that we do something about it. We're trying. As you all well know, many months ago, the House Republican majority passed H.R. 2. That's our Secure the Border Act, which has all the necessary provisions to get this catastrophe under control. Why did we pass the legislation? We passed it because the president has refused to use his executive authority to reverse the catastrophe that he used his executive authority to create. That's the fact. We're desperate to try to get this done. We've been trying for 9 months, longer, to reverse the damage that they've done. The president has refused to act. It's been noted this morning, today, the Homeland Security Committee will take the next necessary step that's available to us, marking up and passing articles of impeachment for Secretary Mayorkas. He has presided over and helped usher in the largest illegal immigration catastrophe in our nation's history. It's not even close. Again, this is a self-evident truth that everyone knows. He has willfully undermined America's laws. He's made false statements to Congress and the American people. He made false statements to me personally in the Judiciary Committee many months ago. And he has handicapped law enforcement. Just last week, we received word that more than 302,000 illegal immigrants crossed our border in December alone. 302,000 in 1 month. It continues. But you know, that barely made headlines. Why? Because that's the new normal under Secretary Mayorkas' lack of leadership. And it is the result of a collection of deliberate policy choices by the Secretary and this administration. In fact, we've documented over 64 specific actions that the President and his administration have taken to undermine America's border security, starting within hours of President Biden's inauguration. Normally, presidents, as you know, use their first few days in office to set the tone for their entire term. He did that. On his first day, President Biden effectively dissolved our borders, and Secretary Mayorkas rolled out a welcome mat to millions and millions of illegal immigrants. And that's what we've seen for the past 3 years. It was just 4 months into his term as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security that Mr. Mayorkas appeared before us in the Judiciary Committee. And I told him on that day in a clip that many people have seen that he needed to prepare his resume because it became immediately apparent to us that he was not doing his job. In fact, he was undermining the very system that he was supposed to administer. Now the president, this is laughable. The president is trying to flip the script. He wants to try to blame House Republicans in some way for the national security and humanitarian catastrophes that he caused. I can't make a full judgment on the National Security Supplemental as the full details have not yet been released, but based on the news reports of this agreement that have been leaked, that Secretary Mayorkas, by the way, helped negotiate, it seems the new authority to shut down the border would kick in only after as many as 5,000 illegal crossings happen each day. Why? Why would we do that? Illegal immigration is illegal. It is against the law. Why would you tolerate 5,000 a day before you sought to suddenly enforce the law? That would be surrender. The goal should be 0 illegal crossings a day, not 5,000. And all the president's authority should be utilized at 0. Many of you may know about this letter that we received, an alarming letter dated January 17th by former executives of the FBI, and this has been circulating. It's addressed to me and to Chuck Schumer in the Senate and to our committees of jurisdiction, the chairs of Intel, Homeland Security, and Foreign Affairs, and Homeland Security and Government Affairs in the Senate. And it begins, dear Mr. Speaker and Chairman leaders, as former senior executives of the Federal Bureau of Investigation with deep experience combating dangers to the nation, we write to express our concern about a current specific threat that may be one of the most pernicious ever to menace the United States. This is a long letter, but I want to read you a couple of excerpts. The threat we call out today is new and unfamiliar. In its modern history, the U.S. has never suffered an invasion of the homeland, and yet one is unfolding now. Military-aged men from across the globe, many from countries or regions not friendly to the United States, are landing in waves on our soil by the thousands. not by splashing ashore from a ship or parachuting from a plane, but rather by foot across a border that has been accurately advertised around the world as largely unprotected, with ready access granted. It will be difficult to overstate the danger represented by the presence inside our borders of what is comparatively a multi-division army of young single adult males from hostile nations and regions whose background, intent, or allegiance is completely unknown. They include individuals encountered by border officials and then possibly released into the country, along with a shockingly high estimate of gotaways, meaning those who have entered and evaded apprehension. I'll read you just a few more lines. The country possesses dramatically diminished national security at this time because of this invasion, as our former FBI and intel officials say. They said, we would be remiss not to call out this potentially grave threat in most direct terms. The warning lights are blinking. Any violation of the nation's immigration laws increases risk, but the surge in numbers of single military-aged males descending upon American cities and towns is alarming and perilous. Additionally, they are not from terror-linked regions. They are not just from terror-linked regions, but from China and Russia as well. Hostile adversaries of the U.S. with aspirations to devastate national infrastructure. Last line, I'll quote them. The country has been invaded, an invasion that will continue as long as the nation's enemies perceive it will be tolerated. And it's signed by all these former officials of the FBI and intelligence. Listen, this is not a game. We took 64 House Republicans down to Eagle Pass, to the epicenter, the Del Rio sector, in South Texas, January 3rd. And we talked to the border officials there. We talked to the sheriffs who are given the impossible task of trying to patrol these areas that they have jurisdiction over. We talked to the state officials in Texas, and what they told us there is that at the Del Rio sector, by way of example, 60 to 70% of the people that cross there are single adult males within these ages, maybe 18 to 40. We saw this with our own two eyes. We talked to the people on the ground. We have an unmitigated crisis, and the president can take executive authority immediately, and he's pretending as though he does not know that. It's outrageous. The American people are demanding action. We are going to deliver it in every way we possibly can, and we'll continue on that course. I'd be happy to take a few questions.